Today, we are talking about an awesome topic. We're talking about none other than procrastination. Why do I want to talk about procrastination with you today? Well, because this is a topic that I have a lot of experience with. I used to struggle with procrastination profoundly. I still do some days. And every single time I talk about the topic of procrastination, the research, the science on social media, you guys go crazy. I mean, this stuff goes viral. And even when I'm working with major brands like Starbucks or Microsoft, or just last week, I was in San Diego speaking at this secret event for a company that is in the human genome sequencing space. I mean, really cool stuff. At some point, everybody has a question about procrastination or is struggling with it and seeking tools that they can use to stop procrastinating and be more effective and more focused. And honestly, this is such a big topic and an important one. I'm kind of surprised that you and I haven't talked about it yet. I have the 5-second rule book right here on my lap because I even wrote and researched an entire chapter about procrastination for this book. So I love teaching this topic. You're going to love what you're about to learn because everybody struggles with procrastination. I've already admitted I'm a former chronic procrastinator. You've heard all about the all-nighters I've pulled in college. I want you to know you are not alone. And I want to say right up front, the reason why you struggle with procrastination is because you're thinking about procrastination wrong. I used to do the same thing. And so today, you're going to stop beating yourself up, and you and I are going to get to the root of what's truly going on when you struggle with procrastination. And by the end of the episode, instead of saying to yourself, why can't I just make myself do this? You're going to change the question because you're no longer going to think there's something wrong with you. Why can't I just get this done? You'll be asking yourself the questions that, based on research, these are the questions that you should be asking yourself when you're procrastinating, which is, how am I feeling right now? What is truly stressing me out? If you want to stop procrastinating, you have to understand it. You have to understand why you do it, and you have to understand the deeper issue that triggers you to procrastinate. And that's why we're not going to procrastinate on the topic any longer. You and I are talking about this sucker today. And I have this incredible question that I want to share with you from a listener named Viddy, and I'm going to play it for you in just a minute. But before I do, I want to give you 4 takeaways immediately, because I want you to start changing how you think about procrastination immediately. So rule number 1, stop labeling yourself a procrastinator. You are not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. When you call yourself a procrastinator like I used to, it becomes part of your identity. And procrastination is not a personality trait. Procrastination is a broken pattern of behavior that you need to understand, and then you need to fix it and replace it with something better. And you may be the kind of person right now where procrastination is chronic in your life. That's okay. That just tells me that the stress in your life is also chronic. And so today, whether you're just kind of procrastinating on the little things or you're so stressed out because you constantly procrastinate on the big things, you are going to get simple tools to change this. And you're also going to take your power back. And that brings me to takeaway number 2. There are 2 kinds of procrastination. There is destructive procrastination, which is what we're going to focus on, and there's productive procrastination. And when I learned about productive procrastination when I was researching the 5-second rule book, I was relieved because it's helpful when you consciously choose to take a break from something in order to clear your mind. Like, for example, if you're working on a really hard project and you decide to go outside and get some fresh air and take a walk and relieve the stress that you're feeling before you come back, that kind of avoidance or delay is conscious and it's productive. But we're going to focus on the destructive procrastination, okay? And that's the kind of procrastination that you might not even realize the extent to which you're doing it. It could be micro procrastinations that you're engaging in all day, like the fact of that you waste hours on social media, probably every single day. And by the end of the week, you're shocked to learn how all those tiny little micro delays added up to a whole lot of wasted time or whether the kind of destructive procrastination that you do is pretty major. You know, when you're actively avoiding something big, like your dissertation that you need to finish, or the application that you need to fill out, or posting videos on your YouTube channel, or making sales calls, or in the case of the listener that you're about to meet, who is an artist, procrastination is eating her alive. Because every single time she sits down as an illustrator in the morning to work on her portfolio, she can't do it. Just listen to Vidhi talk about how this happens.
Hey Mel, first of all, thank you so much for selecting my question. I was beyond happy to see your mail. So my name is Vidhi. I am an illustrator by profession and I absolutely love drawing. But what's been happening for quite a long time now is more than enjoying the process, I am worried about not being able to do a good job with it. Before I even start, I am worried about the end product. Every morning, I cannot wait to sit on the desk and start drawing. But the moment I get in that chair and I have to start drawing, oh my God, Mel, the level of anxiety and doubt and fear. It's like I bury myself deep with all the excuses one can find in the world. And by the end of it, I am so exhausted and tired with all the negative self-talk. I have absolutely zero energy left to do anything. I just want to get in bed and never get out.
I just love her. Vidhi, thank you for that. I just want to reach my arms out. I don't know if you can feel this, Vidhi, but I am sending you, we are all sending you this big virtual hug. That is so frustrating, and I can relate to that. Can't you relate? It's almost like anguish in your voice. When you're in a situation where there is something in your heart that you know you need to do, or like Vidhi, this is a calling. She's an artist, an illustrator. You can tell how deeply she cares about this, how much she wants to do this. And you may feel that way about the business that you're running or the program that you want to apply to. You know, I feel this way about something that I need to do. It's not a calling, it's something I need to do. And that is, I have got to book an appointment to go see a doctor about my hormones. And I was sitting there this morning. I've been thinking about this for a long time. And as I'm sitting here talking to you, my pants are so tight. I'm looking at this kind of hump in the center of my pants. And half the time, my zipper, I notice, is kind of dropping down about a third of the way. I call this hump my breadbasket. And I hate it. And I think about it every day. I think about it every day because when I pull on my pants and I have to zip my pants up, I have to like stick my rear end backwards and sort of suck in to get the zipper of my normal pants up over the breadbasket that I have developed. And, you know, I'm 54. I'm going through some hormonal changes. And what I'm realizing, and I'll unpack this as we talk about the research-backed ways to deal with procrastination, is I'm really triggered by this. I'm really triggered by this because it's a reminder that I'm getting older. It makes me feel like I'm not in control of my health or my body. And the other thing that's adding a lot more stress to this topic, because, you know, let's face it, it sounds kind of stupid and simple. Mel, call the doctor. Like, how hard is that? Why are you procrastinating on that? Well, believe it or not, one of the major things based on research that you and I procrastinate on, making medical appointments, getting medical tests done. So, you know, on top of this, I keep thinking about the fact, and a lot of you know this, that I'm doing this mental discipline challenge for 75 days called 75 Hard, which I talked all about on that episode, 5 Essential Hacks I'm Using to Make Habits Stick. So I need to put this in context for you because the last 30 days, I haven't been drinking alcohol. I'm exercising twice a day. I am drinking more water than ever. I am healthier than ever. And I would think that I would feel really good in my body. And I know some of you look at me and you're like, Mel, come on, like you're my body goals. Like stop bitching about your body. But the truth is, this isn't about what I look like. This is what I feel like in my body. And I know it's confronting me because I'm getting older. And the shit that I've been doing my whole life to stay healthy and vibrant and feeling good in my body, it's not working. Clearly it's not working because I'm getting that thickening in the middle. And as I talk to my girlfriends about this, you know what they say? They say, yeah, I went to my doctor too, Mel, and you know what they told me? Yeah, just stay active. You'll probably gain 5 to 10 pounds, and then it'll probably come off when you're 60. Talk about triggering. So I relate to this because it's something I'm thinking about. It's something that's on my mind. And I bet you've got something like that too. And so before we keep going, I want you to think of something in your life, something like Viddy's describing. Maybe you got to sit down every morning and you're trying to inch forward on some project and you just can't get yourself to do it. Or like me, you're procrastinating on making a medical appointment. Or maybe it's the sales calls. And I'm telling you this because I want you to not just listen. I want you to apply this in real time to what you're dealing with, because there's a lot more going on when you're procrastinating than you realize. And that brings me to this question. And, I realize that by confessing this to you, you're probably thinking, how could you possibly be teaching me about procrastination if you are engaging in it, Mel, and you're confessing this to you? Well, I once heard somebody say that you're best equipped to help somebody that you used to be. And I used to be a chronic procrastinator. And I now know what you're about to learn. And so I can spot this stuff immediately. And it's also why I know that there's a whole lot more going on as to why I've avoided calling the doctor to date than just calling the doctor. I hate getting older. I hate feeling like I'm not in control. And we're going to unpack all of this, which brings me to the third takeaway about procrastination. And that is, you can learn how to stop procrastinating. And I want to say this very loud and clear to Viddy and to you. You're capable of this. You don't lack willpower. You're not lazy. You're not stupid. There's nothing wrong with you. Can we be honest as friends? You can fill out the financial aid forms. You can train for a marathon. You can repair your marriage and get to therapy. You can get to the doctor. And you know what else you can do? You can stop beating yourself up about this, and you can stop making yourself wrong. Because right now, you're about to learn something. You're stuck in what researchers call a procrastination cycle. This is this vicious cycle because you don't understand procrastination. Neither did I. That's why my chronic procrastination spun out of control until I learned everything that I'm about to teach you. And that brings me to the fourth takeaway. Every single time you're procrastinating, it's being triggered by stress. See, that's the crazy thing about procrastination. It has nothing to do with what you need to do. Procrastination, defined in the dictionary, is avoiding or putting something off, delaying it. But when you look at the research, and we're going to dig into that in a minute, the way that researchers define procrastination is that you are avoiding stress. That's what you're avoiding. You're not avoiding the application. You're not avoiding the illustration. You blow off things that take brain power because you are trying to avoid stress. Procrastination is the attempt to feel better in this moment. And strangely, what you're about to learn is that when I walk you through this 3-step research-backed technique that you're going to use every single time that you catch yourself procrastinating, is that procrastination is triggered by stress. That's what it's about. I'm going to say that again. Procrastination is a habit that you have learned and that you repeat whenever you feel stressed. And this comes from research from Dr. Timothy Peichel at Carleton University. His definition of procrastination is this: a subconscious desire to feel good right now. And he shares that procrastination, it's just all about stress. And I'm going to unpack this for you because when you first hear that, wait, procrastination is a subconscious desire to feel good right now? How the heck does that make sense? I mean, Viddy really wants to draw, Mel. So wouldn't it make sense that she'd feel good if she were drawing? Sort of. Sort of. And I'm going to explain this. It makes sense intellectually, but when I unpack how stress is triggering you to stop doing something that you care about or that you need to do, this is all going to be like, holy cow, why didn't I hear this sooner? So I'm going to give you an example. But I want you to understand that that stress that is triggering you to procrastinate, it could be something going on in your life right now, or it could be deep-seated stress, like childhood trauma. It could be anxiety or depression or something in your past that you haven't dealt with, a situation that you're worried about that's completely unrelated to work or to the things that you need to do. It might just be the relentless pressure and stress that you feel because you are so hard on yourself. I mean, you haven't even met Viddy, and you can hear in her voice. The woman beats herself up all day long. Talk about stressful. And that's why I'm so excited to be able to teach this to you today. It's why I love this topic so much, because when we talk about procrastination, we're not talking about getting shit done. You're going to get shit done as a byproduct. But when you truly understand the research and the topic of procrastination, it's about self-awareness, stress management, and being effective and productive on the things that matter to you. It's about feeling a sense of control and agency in your life. So let's really unpack what it means when I say that your habit of procrastinating is triggered by the stress in your life. Stop and think for a minute. What is stressing you out right now? I just kind of talked about the breadbasket, getting older, that kind of stuff. But let me stop and think, I'm stressing about the fact that my parents are getting older. And I haven't seen them in a while. I'm going to go see them in a week. And it's making me realize, my God, we have not seen each other. And I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. It stresses me out. Maybe the same is true for you. Or maybe your mom and dad, their health is failing. And it's really upsetting you. Or perhaps like I used to have profound financial stress, like just crushing, relentless financial stress, always on my mind, always worried about it. Or your best friends are going through a divorce. Maybe that's something that's on your mind and it's really bothering you and you don't know what to do about it. And so here you are in your day-to-day life. You got this big thing that is on your mind. You carry it around like a backpack of stress. You're thinking about it all the time. Maybe it's even just in your subconscious, just grinding away at you. You haven't been working on the dissertation. Oh my God, I need to work on that thing. And why am I not getting to it? And oh my God, I need to do this. And so here you go. And like Viddy, you sit down and there's something you need to do. Maybe you have to work on your portfolio. Maybe you got to make a few sales calls. Maybe you need to sort through all of those medical bills and figure out like how to get compensated and reimbursed from insurance. Talk about like something that requires concentration. Maybe you're working on your business plan. Maybe it's something you're really excited about. You're working on the next chapter of your book. But as you sit there and you start to do the work, here's what's interesting. You need to concentrate, don't you? Like doing that thing requires a bit of focus. It requires your prefrontal cortex to engage. You've been learning all about this on the Mel Robbins podcast. But you got the stress backpack on your back. You got all of this stuff ruminating through you. And it might not be something that is present of mind. It might not be like maybe all your kids are doing fine today. And so you're not worried about, you can't put your finger on it. Your stress backpack might be the fact that you're still living with the effects of childhood trauma. And so when you walk into work and you sit down, or you've got a list of phone calls you need to make, or you've got a report you need to finish, or you've got something you need to edit, and that's going to require you to concentrate, your brain literally looks at you and is like, excuse me? You want me to do an illustration right now? You want me to make a phone call to a stranger and try to sell them some of this stuff right now? Have you not seen that I have a stress backpack on? You want me to focus on 15 phone calls when I've been worried about how I'm going to pay my bills all day and what mom's going to do? Can we just look at some cat videos or some memes or some TikTok dance trends? I mean, I need a break. And then all of a sudden what happens? Next thing you know, 2 hours have gone. You haven't made a single phone call. You haven't drawn a single thing. You have not even cracked open the folder with a financial aid application in it. You've been online shopping. You've been scrolling through TikTok. You have been texting people mindlessly. You've been looking at social media. And then what happens next? You go, oh my God, holy cow, it's already 3 o'clock. I didn't do any of this thing. And next thing you know, holy cow, you're even more stressed out. And let me go back to that example that I said about micro procrastination. which is the number of times you pick up your phone and you mindlessly just check out and you start scrolling on social media. I often will look at my daughters as they're just like, it doesn't even make that noise, but I would imagine they're going through it so fast. I'm like, what are you doing? Nothing. Taking a break from life. And it feels like you're doing something, right? Because you're like, but you're doing this because you want to check out for a minute. You don't want to have to think about anything. You don't want to have to focus on something. Why? Because your brain and your body's already taxed. See, when you're stressed, it triggers that fight, flight, freeze alarm system in your body. You want to know what procrastination is? It's freezing. I'm going to say that again because I can feel the wake-up calls going ding, 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 ding as you're listening. I'm going to say that again. You know that you have a fight or flight response, right? When you get stressed out, you go on edge. There's also freeze when you're stressed. You feel paralyzed. Procrastination is a form of freezing. Let me explain this. See, life triggers you. A bill arrives in the mail or in your inbox, and you're thinking, how the hell am I going to pay that? All of a sudden, you get triggered by stress. Your brain goes into survival mode to protect you, and you freeze. So, without even thinking about it, you procrastinate on something. Why? Because you're trying to feel a little better right now. That's why you look at social media. That's why you blow off the 15 phone calls because those feel hard. That's why you blow off the writing that you need to do or the video that you need to shoot or the thing that feels hard. And then what happens is because you've blown it off in order to feel a little bit better right now, you get a little behind. And guess what happens? You then feel more stressed. And this is exactly what Vidhi is experiencing. And this is why you got to get in front of this procrastination habit, because this will very quickly spiral out of control. And here she is talking about how she gets triggered, that when she sits down and she starts to worry about, and here's her stress, is it going to be good enough? I got to get this right. I don't know if this is the right drawing to do. And she starts thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And she even uses the word siren naturally. She even feels like it's an alarm that's getting triggered. Listen to this.
I realized whenever anything good is about to happen, a siren goes off inside my head. Oh, it's too good to be true. Oh, it's too good to be true. Oh, you think you can do this. Seriously, you can't. They chose the wrong person. You're clearly not good enough. There are hundreds of much more talented artists. When you finish this project, they'll know that you are a fake, that you are not good enough. So I think you should just stop doing whatever you're doing right now. So, yeah. Every time something good happens, I find myself running from it. And I think we name this self-doubt as a wanting to be perfect. And for God's sake, I don't even like perfect. I don't want my drawings to be perfect. I like the imperfect parts of my drawing. And another thing, sometimes this negative talk, this negative voice gets so loud. I know that if I do certain things, like if I go and give myself a high five, I am going to feel better and I will be able to get back and do my job. But I just don't do it. I just don't. It's like feeling shitty has become a comfortable feeling. I don't even know if that makes any sense.
That last line, it's like feeling shitty, has become a comfortable feeling. Vidhi, what you are describing makes perfect sense. What you're describing is how stress and this desire, this tension between just trying and expressing yourself and this deep-seated fear that it's not going to be right or it's not going to be perfect, and how that paralyzes you. That's why you're procrastinating. And what you're describing is how it triggers you to freeze when you sit down to work as an illustrator. And now you are in a vicious cycle because you're so used to feeling this way, it has become comfortable. And I want to make a really clear distinction, everyone, that the word comfortable doesn't mean you like it. The word comfortable means you're used to it. that it's normal to feel shitty. It's normal to feel stuck. It's normal to feel like you know what you need to do, but you can't make yourself do this. And I want you to hear me loud and clear. This is normal. This is a normal experience to have, and you can do something about it. And if you relate to Vidhi like I do, good. Because then you're seeing it. You're seeing that you're trapped in this cycle, and seeing it is really the first step, and you going, okay, good, because I'm going to break the cycle. I'm going to replace it with something else. If you're still trying to spot yourself in this vicious procrastination loop, let me give you another more relatable example that I've been hinting at several times. How many times have you had that experience where you're going to bed, you're brushing your teeth, and you start to feel stressed out as you're going to bed because you reflect on the night and you think, oh my God, I just wasted the whole evening. I just spent 3 hours scrolling through social media while I was lounging on the couch, watching something on Netflix, and I'm not going to get that time back. And now it's too late. And I know why you did it, and so do you. You were stressed out. You finished the day, and you were tired, and you were stressed, or you were worried about something, or you felt like, my God, I've been concentrating all day. I just need a break. They call this revenge procrastination. When you literally do nothing at night, you blow off time, you waste your time because you're getting back at your job because it stressed you out. And, look, is it a big deal to scroll on social media now and then? Of course not. But when this habit of micro procrastination or revenge procrastination starts to cause a cycle of you coming home and feeling stressed out all the time, and now you're going to bed stressed out and you're waking up stressed out, and you didn't take the time tonight to set yourself up tomorrow morning, and now you're waking up stressed out because you're feeling behind based on what happened last night, this is how the stress builds and builds and builds. And so I think the big question is this: Mel, what do I do about it? You now got me freaked out. I'm no longer frozen. I want to run. I want to take a sledgehammer and break this cycle in half. So let's just start with the question, what is procrastination?
Okay. Procrastination is not the same as delaying. If I'm stuck on the tarmac and my plane isn't getting off and I'm 4 hours late for some appointment, I didn't procrastinate. That's delay. It's not the same as pondering. Pondering is to pause and to stop and think because you're actively thinking about what should I be doing. All right? It's a misperception that procrastination is poor time management. What is the procrastination? It's the intentional delay of a target task that is irrational and prevents you from reaching your goal. So you're purposely not doing something, all right, and it doesn't make any sense to do that, and it's going to prevent you from reaching a goal, and people feel uncomfortable about it, and it's maladaptive. Do not listen to the current media people who are coming out and saying, oh, there is procrastination. There's a good side to procrastination. Ain't true. Everything shows that procrastination is a maladaptive lifestyle. You're missing out on life. Because for the procrastinator, they think the world is all about me. And the world is not about me, it's about we. And if I don't do what I have to do, then you can't do what you have to do. And so it's not about me. I don't like it. I can't do it. I find it aversive. It's unpleasant. It's too much time. Yeah, life ain't like that. So what? All right, life is about us getting things done. All right, there's that expression. If you want something to be done, you give it to a busy person. Why? That makes no sense. Why a busy person? Because the busy person values your time and values their time and knows that there are things that have to get done. All right. So this is not an adaptive strategy. Let me stop there and say, I'm not shaming or condemning anybody who's a procrastinator, because I hope as we get there, I'm going to show you how procrastination is a learned tendency. And that means you can unlearn it. So that's how I would define it. It's irrational. It prevents you from reaching your goal.
So Dr. Ferrari, you said it's the intentional delay, which made me wonder, do you have to know that you're doing it?
I need to clarify for you something. Everybody procrastinates, but not everyone is a procrastinator.
What's the difference?
Thank you very much. 20% of adult men and women are chronic procrastinators. And as a research psychologist, those are the people I want to study. 20%. Now, you might say, that's all, Ferrari? That's higher than depression, substance abuse, panic attacks, alcoholism, right? And yet, we treat this humorously. I procrastinate. Well, do you procrastinate on one task, then you procrastinate, or do you procrastinate on a variety of things? That makes you a procrastinator. 20% of men and women, no significant gender difference. 20% of people, all right, will not RSVP on time and wait till the gauge goes on empty before they get more gas, or get the third bill before they pay it. You know they're going to miss your birthday and your anniversary and Christmas, and you'll get the cards later if you get anything and all that. And they'll always have an excuse.
That's me.
Which for them.
That's me.
Yeah, of course.
What do you mean, of course? Okay. That's me.
Well, you showed up 20 minutes late. So
no, I did not. We had a schedule, and the schedule was to start the pre-interview at 10 o'clock because most guests tend to be a little overwhelmed and a little nervous because of the reach of this show. And so we have a process in place. I was not intentionally delaying. I'll defend myself there.
I expected I'd see you right away, but irrelevant. All right, but it's a good example of what we're talking about. How would someone else know that?
That's true.
So somebody, unless they're told that. All right, and then the person who, quote unquote, shows up late, all right, says this is what's going on. And that's believable because procrastinators are very good, as I was saying, good excuse makers. They always have a reason, and it's logical, and it makes sense. The problem is the next time the same thing happens, and the next time, or in another setting. So that's what makes us suspicious after a while. And we say, wait a minute, it's never your fault. It's never your fault. I don't know you, so I'm not saying this is true of you. Please do not be offended. I'm trying to explain, how this is a good case of what we're talking about.
Yes, I agree. So let me ask another question. So how do you know if, in fact, you are a chronic procrastinator, that you're part of that 20%? What are some of the signs so that somebody can go, this is beyond just a funny thing or something that frustrates me. This is something I really need to sit up and pay attention to.
Okay. So again, this is somebody who RSVPs, shows up late, who may show up consistently to different events, misses sporting events and concerts because they never get the ticket on time. They, they're going to be late for gifts. They drive their car on fumes because they're always late getting the gas or whatever they may need. So you notice in a variety of settings. If you find yourself doing it at home, at school, at work, in relationships, that you're always doing this way, then, and if other people, can get annoyed by you and tell you that you're a procrastinator, you may be a chronic procrastinator because you're doing it across time and across space. In science, that's what we look for consistency. Does it happen from day to day or time to time? And does it happen across location to location, time and space? So you have to see how well. Now, if it's only one task, I really don't like doing the dishes.
Right.
I really don't like, for me, it's cutting the grass. I am dressed like I'm going to go cut the grass. So I have all these excuses. It's been raining and it looks like it's going to rain again today, but I'm not a procrastinator at all. You ask me to do something, you'll get it done. But that's something I will delay doing. Ask yourself, do you do this in different locations at different times? Have people told you that you're delayed? And as I said, this is men and women. There's no significant gender difference. This is young and old, urban and rural, different cities and the farm areas and the rural areas. No difference. All races. There is a difference between white collar and blue collar. White collar procrastinate more. Let me make your listeners understand, because I understand you have a lot of countries here, that this is not just a U.S. thing. This is not only a Western culture, because I've collected data with colleagues in Britain, Australia, Canada, Germany, Poland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Spain, Ireland, Italy, Peru, Venezuela, Turkey, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Japan, South Korea. We're currently doing Iran, and I'm doing some more studies with people in Turkey. And I'm finding 20%.
Wow.
So this is really global. Now, the next question is, well, then is this genetic? Are we just human nature? Are we born this way? No.
What?
No, we're not born procrastinating. Oh yeah, some people will say, "Well, there's nothing I can do about it. That's just who I am." I'm always. No, no. You learned to be a procrastinator.
From who?
So you can unlearn it. Oh, from dads. But we'll get. You want to go there
Dads?
first? Yeah. So you learn to be a procrastinator, all right? So you can unlearn it. That's very optimistic. That means you're not condemned this way. Yes, you can teach old dogs new tricks. You just use a different bone and it takes them longer, but you can unlearn it. If you're born that way, if that's just who you are, then let's
Then you're
let's call it
screwed.
a day. Then it's over. Then it's nothing I can do with it. And that's unfortunately too much of our culture is this way. Well, that's how they are. That's how people are. No, people can change. Let's be much more optimistic.
Dr. Ferrari,
In my rambling,
hold on. I need to tell you something.
okay.
I love you.
Thank you. Don't tell my wife, but that's okay.
I love you because I believe the same thing. Of course you can frickin' change. Yeah, it's hard, but of course you can. And so what you just said made me take a deep breath because I 1,000% fall into the category of being a chronic procrastinator.
Do you mind sharing a little bit what that means to you, please, publicly? Are you okay with
Of
that?
course. Absolutely. So all the way back to my academic career at Dartmouth College and Boston College Law School, every single paper was an all-nighter.
Yeah.
Every single test was a cram session. I was late to every class. You asked me to do something, I'll forget. When you said birthdays, the bane of my existence is that I forget birthdays. I hate that about myself. I literally hate it about myself. Anniversaries come up on me with my husband. We've been married for 27 years now.
Congratulations.
I forget to book plane tickets. I leave something on a plane everywhere I go. And I also have dyslexia. I also have been diagnosed with ADHD. And so I have this story that there's nothing I can do about it. And that in some ways, when I think about the creative process, that I need this burst of adrenaline. Like there's something about the last minute scramble that gets my ass going and gets my brain churning. And I don't know if that's a story. I don't know if that's a habit. I don't know what the hell it is, but it drives me crazy. It makes me mad that I'm terrible at time management. It makes me embarrassed when I'm late. My husband calls it Mel time. And let's say we have to be out at a dinner with friends at 6 o'clock. The drive is 10 minutes. It is 20 minutes to 6. Chris is dressed. He's already fed the dogs. He is walking toward the car. I am running around looking for my phone. I have one shoe on. I go into the bedroom, and now I think I have time to make 3 calls and make the bed and change my clothes. And Chris literally will be sitting in the car in the driveway while I am running around the house like a lunatic trying to find things. And it never equated the last minute scramble actually with procrastinating. I equated it with poor planning, with
Excuse making.
excuse making.
I got to shut up. I gotta let you go on.
No. It's true.
Because when you stop, I've got a whole bunch of stuff to say. But keep going.
What I procrastinate on is paperwork. I miss paying bills. I lose my credit cards all the time. I'm constantly without a cord charger for my phone. My gas tank, I feel like my form of gambling is to see how far I can go. And then I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Okay. And it's this constant battle.
All right. May I jump in now, Ms. Robbins?
Yes, you may, Dr. Ferrari.
So you said quite a few things, so thank you for sharing with us all of these items. And in no particular order, I've jotted down some things as you were saying them, so I want to go through them. You started off by telling us about your academic procrastination. All right. What I have found is that 70% of college students will delay writing, studying, going to that mentor, doing all these things. And 70%, now remember, everybody procrastinates, but not everyone is a procrastinator. So the college student might delay studying, reading, writing a paper, cramming at the last minute, doing all that. They may do it. But if there's a free keg of beer in the dorm, they're there. If Lady Gaga is giving a concert for the first 50 people, Lizzo's in the other room, they're there. Then they're not procrastinators. They procrastinate. When you started off, I was saying, oh, okay, then she's an academic procrastinator, not a chronic procrastinator. But then you did move into other realms. You gave me a nice list of all these different tasks that your 5 million followers have said. My question to all of them, that is very nice, but is that the only thing that you're procrastinating with? Because then again, if it is, then you're just procrastinating. You're not a procrastinator. I'm not sure if you're familiar with, maybe some of your listeners are, with a concept called meta-analysis. It's a research technique.
Yep.
Okay, and for those who are not familiar, a meta-analysis, a scientist takes previously published studies, takes all of them, enters them into a formula, and looks to see what's most effective based on these bodies of literature. 2 of them have been done on interventions to deal with procrastination. The least effective technique, the technique that will not work with procrastinators, is time management. What works is CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, because you need to change the procrastinator's way of thinking, cognitive, and the way they act, because it's not a question of time management. Time management, stop. It's not going to work. Change the way you think, the way you act.
How do we do that?
Well, you start with this.
You read the book, Still Procrastinating.
You start
Awesome.
with the book, and then you go find a good PhD clinical psychologist who's cognitive behaviorally trained, and you stop the excuse making. One of the things I talk about is they're very good at the but howevers. Oh yes, I was going to do that, but I could have done, however. So your listener, who's a chronic, will listen to this, go, well, that was very interesting, that was entertaining, but in my case, blah 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 blah. You know, I understand. However, for me, see, so, look, there's, as you know, the concept of, well, let me write something else down, please, if that's okay.
Sure.
There are 3 myths, and you touched on one of them, about procrastination, and that is, I work best under pressure. You told me about that one too. I got to wait till the last minute. Do these procrastinators, do they work best under pressure? The short answer is no. All right, so we brought them in the lab. We had them work on a series of tasks and experiments and a series of studies. They had more errors. They did less. But when you asked them, how did you do? I did great. I did so much better than everybody else. All right, so you don't work best under pressure. That's one of the myths. You don't work best under pressure. You think you do, all right? But you actually do more failure. Thrill seeking. And I heard ADHD and other kind. There's only been one study ever looking at ADHD and procrastination, and I did that in the 90s. With 3 samples, 2 normal and 1 clinical sample of people diagnosed with ADHD, and found no relationship.
What do you blame it on?
On yourself. Why didn't you manage your time? You can't manage time. Indecision is a form of procrastination. It's a cognitive form. It's called decisional procrastination. We're reinforced by our culture for being a procrastinator because our culture reinforces procrastination. You know, we don't reward doing things early. We punish for being late in our culture. If I don't pay my bills on time, I get a fine. I get an extra charge on my credit card. If you're like me and my wife, in our 39 years of marriage, we pay ahead of time, all the time. I get the bill, I pay it because I just want to get rid of it. All right. So at the end of the year, did they ever come back and say, thank you very much. Here's a little extra gift. Here's 2%. No. Our cultures don't reward us for doing things ahead of time. They punish us for being late. Christmas shopping. Holiday season's coming up. If I wait to Christmas Eve, I get 70% off. I get 80%. Why should I shop earlier? I better wait till the last minute because look at what I'm going to get. In fact, give me a gift card and I'll go after Christmas and I'll get even more because people aren't stupid. I say flip it, baby. I say do it the other way around. Make that 70, 80% off Thanksgiving time. And then it gets less and less and less. And if you wait till Christmas Eve, there's a 20% surcharge. April 15th, taxes. Why should I pay my taxes earlier? There's no incentive. There's no reason. If I have to pay, let's just say the person has to pay, well, I'm going to send it in on April 12th, April 14th. I'm going to do it the last minute. No, government's got it wrong. Again, reward for doing early. We have to reward for doing early, not punish. I am not in favor of punishing for being late.
That makes sense. So how do you as an individual that recognizes that you are a procrastinator apply rewarding being early to your own life?
We can talk about that. But let me also clarify from the beginning, I'm not a clinical psychologist, all right? And so I don't believe, as a research psychologist, that we should be doing street corner philosophy like this. Tell me the magic bullet, because that isn't how life is. You need to understand the person and their dynamics. All right. You're asking me, as everybody does, just tell me the cure. Thank you for the causes. Thank you for the consequences. But I want the cures. Well, life isn't like that.
Today, we're going to focus on the components of $1 million morning routine. And these are all based on research. And the thing I want you to think about is this. I really believe in something called behavioral activation therapy. And said very simply, behavioral activation therapy is the concept that if you want to change, if you want to be a better you, just start acting like the person that you want to be in the future right now in your day-to-day life. That the actions that you take today are what will turn you into the person that you want to become. And look, I know you have a vision for yourself. There is a version of you that you hold in your heart and in your mind that you see that is a better version of the person than you are right now. The you that has a better, more fulfilling job or career. The you that is truly enjoying a deeper connection in your relationship or marriage. The you that has better eating habits, better physical habits. The you that really is experiencing a better connection to the meaning and purpose in your life. That life that you envision, you're capable of achieving it. You can do the work to make that version of yourself a reality, but it's not going to happen out of thin air. You got to put in the work. And I personally believe that that work begins first thing in the morning. That every single morning you can wake up and experience a clean slate. You can wake up and you can create a morning routine. Not that the you right now likes, but the morning routine that the future you needs. And the bottom line is, whether you consider yourself to be a morning person or not, a morning routine is essential. A morning routine is like the first domino. Let's just agree that every single day of your life, you wake up and you have the opportunity to create a new experience in your life. And that first series of decisions that you make, which are basically your morning routine, it's like the beginning domino that falls. And if your morning routine sucks, like my morning routine used to suck, the first domino that falls in your day is procrastination, stress, anxiety, depression, suckiness. And that tends to trigger a whole lot more of that. Now, let's talk about the other option. Have you ever had a morning where you rolled out of bed because you had to be somewhere? You actually met a friend at the gym, and the exercise class was not only not that bad, it was kind of fun, and you felt really energized and proud of yourself for going, and you were set up for the meeting that you had, you were prepared. What's it like when that domino falls? It feels good, doesn't it? It makes you feel confident and alive and proud of yourself. It kind of creates this energy and this motion in your life. And that brings me to a simple statement. The solution to almost all the problems in your life is your morning routine. If you were to get serious about creating a morning routine that makes you feel like $1,000,000, that sets you up with the structure and momentum and positive choices that act like a domino, that send you into your day feeling like you have started the day off with a bang, checking the right boxes, getting it done, feeling proud, putting yourself first. Imagine how the rest of your day flows. You see, how you set your day up is how it ends up. Say it again. How you set your day up is how it ends up. And if you are serious about making more money or making change stick or getting things done or just feeling happier or finally learning how to put yourself on the list, let's get laser focused on your morning routine. Because when you get laser focused on your morning routine and setting yourself up for success from the get-go, it's pretty amazing what flows from there. And so before we get into the components of my $1,000,000 morning, I want to tell you about the old Mel. And for those of you that listened to the episode that we did about how to create an evening routine that truly sets you up for success in the morning, you have heard part of this, but the old Mel was a complete flipping disaster. I don't even recognize the sad sack of a human being that I used to be. I was addicted to my excuses. I was addicted to my alcohol at night. I was addicted to feeling miserable and to complaining about my problems. In fact, you want to know the first decision I made every single day for years, decades, in fact? The very first decision that the old Mel Robbins used to make, I'd hit the snooze button. Now let's just stop and unpack that, okay? You wake up, the alarm goes off, the sun is out, you have a brand new day in front of you. There are people around the world that died in the middle of their sleep last night. They didn't get another day. But you, my friend, you got another day. And instead of waking up, getting up, making the most of the next 24 hours of your life, you know what the old Mel Robbins used to do? Hitting the snooze button is procrastination in its biggest form. But you're not procrastinating on a paper. You're not procrastinating on a project. You're not procrastinating on a call or a chore. You're procrastinating on your fucking life. You're basically going, the first decision I'm going to make today in this miraculous thing called life is to not do it. I'm just going to avoid it altogether. I have the option to make the most of this time. I have the option to put myself first. I have the option to move my body, to practice mindfulness, to go outside and listen to the birds. But you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to procrastinate. I think I'm going to avoid it. I think I'm going to roll over. I think I'm going to just opt out. And for me, I can now see that since the first decision I made was to avoid doing what I needed to do, it's so fucking obvious why I was a chronic procrastinator, because I began every day like that. And as you hit the snooze button and you avoid facing your life and you avoid facing the day, you're not feeling confident. You're not feeling energized. You're not feeling in control and empowered. You are basically embodying your excuses, your fears, your anxiety, your frustration, your fatigue. It all begins with the decision you make first thing in the morning. I believe that. And the reason why I'm being overly dramatic about this is because one of my biggest problems in life is that I avoided the hard stuff. I had a million reasons why I couldn't fix things or get a new job or pay off my bills or why I couldn't make things better or why my husband was to blame. And so if you're sick of your excuses, if you're sick of snoozing on your dreams, if you are sick and tired of letting procrastination and doubt and overthinking and anxiety run your life, let's talk about your fucking morning routine. Because let me tell you what the life of a chronic snooze button person looks like. It begins in the morning. You hit the snooze button 4 or 5 times. That was me. I'd stare at the ceiling, think about my problem, snooze, snooze, snooze. And the rest of the day, guess what else I was doing? Snooze, snooze, snooze on the problems. Avoiding the phone call I needed to make. That's hitting the snooze button on that. Avoiding the networking I needed to do. That's hitting the snooze button there. Avoiding the hard conversation I needed to have. That's hitting the snooze button there. Blowing off the gym. Another snooze button. It's not just about how you wake up. It's how you wake up, how you set up the day. That's how it ends up. The snooze button, that is just one example of the series of disastrous choices I would make for myself. Whether it was hitting the snooze button 5 or 6 times, waking up late, not giving myself enough time, skipping breakfast, never having time to exercise, never being organized about anything. It was just honestly a nightmare. And I always say you are one decision away from a different life. And one of the things that has changed my life is deciding that I didn't want to do that anymore. That hitting the snooze button every single morning was not going to help me change my life. So when I finally got serious about first getting out of bed, and then secondly, creating a small series of promises that I make and keep to myself every single morning, it was a game changer. I'm going to jump into some questions. And I think through these questions, you and I are going to figure out what it means to do nothing. Because I am no expert at this. And I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those conversations that you and I have where you're going to write to me and be like, woman, you got a lot to learn. Let me give you this advice about doing nothing, because I do a better job of doing nothing than you do, Mel Robbins. So our first question, I love this question, comes from a listener named Jenny. And she said, Mel, I'm a new listener to the podcast. I love your energetic voice and find that it energizes me too. I'm a single parent of 2 kids, and I find it difficult to listen to episodes that tell me I'm never too busy, never too tired to XYZ. I've deflected a lot of this from fitness influencers and efficiency experts, but from a self-help standpoint, I find that doing everything and dreaming big can't be shoehorned into a life that already has very little wiggle room for even day-to-day stuff. Can you relate to that? I can certainly relate to that. I'm going to say that again because I think that is so relatable. I've deflected a lot of this type of advice from fitness influencers and efficiency experts. And from a self-help standpoint, I find that doing everything and dreaming big can't be shoehorned into a life that already has very little wiggle room for even day-to-day stuff. This is all leading up to my question, which is, how do you remain hopeful in the trenches when surrounded by achievers? How do you make time for rest when it feels like a guilty pleasure to sit down every once in a while? Whoa. So first, let's talk about something. Let's talk about this part of her question. How do you remain hopeful in the trenches when surrounded by achievers? So first things first, let's just call it what it is, okay? That most of the crap that you're seeing online is not actually true. People are not as efficient as they look, and I love the home edit. But I guarantee you, the second that they leave the television show or the Instagram shoot, that color-coordinated bookcase and that beautiful pantry in the gorgeous plastic see-through things and the spinny things that look like you're not supposed to touch anything there, that pantry does not look like that in 24 hours. Give me a frickin' break. Experts stylized that thing. Production assistants bought all that crap. They put it in there. There is no normal human being that can keep a pantry looking that way. So let's just say, number one, stop torturing yourself with the impossible standards that you see on social media. Rule number one. Rule number two, I agree with you. I personally believe one of the reasons why so many of you relate to me and you constantly write and say, Mel, you are so relatable. I'll tell you why. Because I have 3 children. I have 2 dogs. I have aging parents. I have a lot of stuff going on. I have ADHD, and there's absolutely nothing about my life that is perfect. And I notice that there are a lot of people in the self-help, in the influencer space that are either single or they are male and they have a full-time partner at home or they have no children. And advice from a single 30-something who has 9 hours a day to exercise is not advice that's going to work for my life. It's just not. If you are 30 years old and you have 8 hours to exercise, that advice will work for you. If you are a guy and you have a partner at home that takes care of everything, yes, you can have 15 side hustles because you don't have to do shit when you get home. Let's call it for what it is. In a normal person's life, the advice often doesn't work. I don't know about you, but I don't have 3 fucking hours every morning for my morning routine. I'm lucky if I have 30 minutes. And hell, half of the mornings when I wake up, my dogs are already standing there right by the bed waiting for me to take them out. And I say this because it frustrates me that you and I look at the incredible advice that's out there and we don't flex it to actually work in our life. And so when you are listening to somebody, whether they are an efficiency expert, which sounds like a nightmare, frankly, or they're a fitness influencer, or there's somebody that's telling you how to eat right, I personally take everything with a grain of salt. And I take it with a grain of salt because I know that in order for advice to work for me, I got to flex it in a way so that it will fit into my life. And so we've already learned 2 things. If you are in the doldrums and you're constantly comparing yourself or beating yourself up because you think everybody else is out achieving you, you're wrong. People are putting up fake achievements and perfection online to sell you something. The second thing is, the only advice that's going to work is advice that you flex to work in your life. And so one of the reasons why I'm constantly sharing these really simple things to do is because that's the only things that I can fit into my life. My life is very complicated, just like yours. And so I can't fit in 2 hours of exercise, but I can fit in 15 minutes. I can't fit in training for a marathon right now, but I can get a walk in 3 days a week. And so what you're going to find is that if you hold yourself to an impossible standard, you're going to feel like that standard is impossible. If you become not only realistic about the demands of your life, but you also become very rigorous about what you demand of yourself in terms of, I'm not going to force myself to some ridiculous standard. I got 2 toddlers. I'm a single parent. It's not safe for me to walk alone outside and leave them. I just can't do it. So what can I do? And so when you say, so that's just hopefully getting rid of like the kind of comparison thing, because I do it too. I often have this conversation with Christine, who's our chief operating officer of 143 Studios, which is our production company, and she's also my sister-in-law. And I love her because I'm like the flighty creative ball dropper genius type person, right? I call myself a genius like in jest, but I'm creatively fruity all over the place, just flying high. She is a CFO, Excel spreadsheet, get everything in the columns kind of lady. Mel says yes, Christine says no. That's basically the joke inside the company. Mel said yes, but Christine said no. So anyway, I was complaining to her the other day because, of course, like you, I bash myself when I see other people out achieving me because I've got to win some imaginary competition here in life. And I see a friend of mine who is going on a book tour. And he is going on a book tour that is lasting 3 months. And I turned to Christine. I'm like, this is unbelievable. It's so cool. Da, 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 da. And she turned to me and she goes, he doesn't have children. You can't be on the road that long, Mel. Like, it's not going to work for you. And I'm like, oh, that's right. She's like, you got to stop comparing yourself to people whose lives don't look like yours. You will never be able to achieve what somebody who is a single male can achieve because you've got other demands on your time right now. You will never be able to achieve what a 23-year-old can do right now because you've got aging parents and 3 kids and a business to run. And so please Stop making yourself feel like shit because you are looking at somebody who has totally different life circumstances than you. And by the way, this does not mean that there's something wrong with a 23-year-old fitness influencer. I think that's freaking fantastic that somebody's doing that with their life. There's nothing wrong with somebody who is going on a book tour for 3 months. I think that's fantastic. And there's clearly a part of me that wants to do more of that. But at the moment, I got to face reality. And the reality is, based on my values, based on what life looks like right now, I'm not going to do that. But what I can do is figure out what advice I respond to, what changes I want to make, and then I can fit that into my life. Okay, now let's address the actual question she asked. How do you make time for rest when it feels like a guilty pleasure to sit down every once in a while? Can we just take a moment? It feels like a guilty pleasure to just sit down? That is fucked up. I mean, and I feel it. I feel it too. I feel like there's something wrong with me if I'm not doing something. And maybe it comes from my immigrant grandparents who came from Austria, and my grandmother grew up in a coal mining town in Ohio, and she moved east because her family answered an ad for a rich family looking for a maid, and they shipped my grandmother to New Jersey to be a maid for somebody, and that's where she met my grandfather, who immigrated here from Austria, and he was in the Navy, and they had a bakery when he got out of the Navy, and so they worked 7 days a week, basically 24 hours. My grandmother in the front of the shop, my grandfather in the back. My other side of the family are cattle farmers. I don't know about you, but there's not a lot of freelancers that you can find to work on a big cattle farm. They also had a produce stand. So I come from a long line of people who have a hard time sitting down because there was no time to sit down, or they just never did. And it's just in my DNA. So I get this. And so one thing that I want you to know is stop calling it guilt. We got to stop calling it guilt because it's just a pattern. You have a pattern of always staying busy. And I don't think we feel guilty. You know what I think you and I feel when we sit down and do nothing? We feel weird. We don't know what to do with our hands. We don't know what to think about. We don't know how to relax. Like, unless I'm on a vacation, on a beach chair, with a pina colada in my hand, I don't know how to relax. It's true. It's a sickness. And I'm going to go on the record and blame Eileen and Warren Bippert and Betty and Frank Schneeberger. My DNA, my grandparents. You're to blame for this. But now I'm stuck with it. So what am I going to do with it? First of all, we're not going to feel guilty, everybody. We're going to call it what it is. It's freaking weird. It's weird to do nothing. You are ambitious. That's why you listen to this. You're up to something. That's why you listen to this. You're constantly looking to improve something. That's why you listen to this and you hang out with me. You and I are busy. But we have to learn how to have moments where we do nothing. Like, when was the last time you did nothing? I don't even know. Funny, my mind's blank. I can't think of nothing. I'd be like, I don't even know. Can you think of when you did nothing last? I'm always doing something. And it's true. It's not that I feel guilty. I just don't know how to do nothing. I don't know how to rest. I don't know how to just give myself a break. I'm not wired this way, and neither are you. And here's the other thing. I believe that we live in a world that has trained us to always be on. Between the phone and a bazillion things to watch on TV and constantly emails to answer, there's always somebody who needs you. There's always something that needs to be done. And feeling needed is a way to feel connected and important. And so I don't think any of us feel guilty. I think we just don't know what to do. We don't know how to do nothing. And that's why I'm going to come back. I want this week. This is the theme. Let's practice the art of doing nothing, even if it's just for a minute. So here's what I'm going to commit to today, and then I'm going to go to the next question. I am going to take a bath. Now, I love taking baths, but normally, this is like embarrassing to admit this to you. I'm on my phone in my bath. I am literally a sicko. I sit on my phone in my bath and I relax in my bath by answering emails. This is like literally awful that I do this. Why? Because I don't know how to do nothing. Oh my God. Aren't we funny? I bet even if you go and treat yourself to getting your nails done, which I have not done in a month, my feet literally look like I've been farming all day and I'm a bird with talons. Like I'm so embarrassed. Thank God it's not flip-flop season. But even when I go get my nails done, the poor gal will be literally looking and trying to get me to keep my hands still. And what am I busy doing? I'm doing the same thing you're doing. I got my phone over there and with wet fingernails, I am trying to scroll through my phone because I can't sit there and do nothing. So I want you to think right now about one moment of doing nothing and what that looks like for you. And now we're going to move to the next question. The next question is from Paige. Hi, Mel. Can you please talk about how to get out of your own head in order to start living your life? When I'm thrown into social situations or new experiences, I tend to get so wrapped up in my own head that my anxiety skyrockets. It can sometimes feel like I have a spotlight on me with a panel of judges grading my every move or every sentence that comes out of my mouth. My head just can't seem to realize that no one is paying that much attention. And it's preventing me from just enjoying myself. Your podcast has been a life changer. Can you please help me? Okay, this is an excellent question because there are two aspects to the art of doing nothing, everyone. One is the doing. And I'm even going to throw into a category. You ready? I'm even going to say doing nothing for me includes laying on the couch and just zoning out to like some TV show. As long as I don't have my phone in my hand or I don't have sometimes I'll have a to-do list next to me. I know it's sickening, but I carry the spiral notebook around just to jot down things that pop into my mind. But if I were to just sit on the couch and not have a to-do list and not have my phone and just zone out in front of it, that's kind of doing nothing. That counts. We're going to let that count, okay? But there's a second part to doing nothing that is really a game changer. And that's, how do you think about nothing? How do you quiet your mind? Because for me, that's the part that makes the physical doing nothing hard. Because the second I sit down, let's just say that what you were going to do tonight is you were going to make a fire and you're going to sit down in front of the fire. Or let's just say that you've got this awesome comfy bed in your studio apartment and you're just going to sit on your bed. Just going to sit there for 5 minutes. Just really do nothing. You know what'll happen? Your thoughts are going to race. Your thoughts are going to be like, what am I doing? Why am I sitting here? I should be doing something. Okay, what's going on? Oh, that wall needs paint. Oh, look at the rug. I should probably do something about that rug. I haven't washed these sheets. And you're going to literally be like, you know, in our house in Sherburne, we had mice or squirrels. I don't even know what the hell they were, but they lived in the walls. It's an old farmhouse. What are you going to do? Like, you can't get rid of them. I mean, they just kind of come in. And so, honest to God, every night when I would turn off the lights, do you know what would happen? It was like a mouse parade. That's what you would hear in the walls of my house. It's like they turn on the second the lights go off. And then you turn on the lights and then they stop. And you're like, what is happening? That's your thoughts. Try it. Try to just sit there and think of nothing. You can't. You can't. And don't worry, I'm not about to tell you to meditate. So she wants to know, how do I get out of my own head? How do I think about nothing? Here's how you do it. First of all, you cannot trust yourself, okay? So I am not going to sit there and say, just try to think about nothing, because it's impossible. you are a complete novice at this. I am also not going to say that you should try meditating on your own, because unlike my husband, Chris, I'm not a meditation instructor, and I do not sit crisscross applesauce and meditate every day. I practice more of a mindfulness moving meditation, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you're a novice to this and you can't sit still or your thoughts are always racing, you need freaking help. And lucky for you and me, there is free help everywhere. Download the Calm app, download Headspace, listen on Audible, listen on Spotify, listen on iTunes, listen on Amazon Music, listen on YouTube. Do you know how many free playlists there are with guided meditations or with that SMMR, I don't even know what it's called, ASMR, MSMR. I don't know what it is, but it's that sound where it's like, and you just listen to it and it calms your mind. What I'm trying to tell you is, do not try to calm your racing thoughts on your own. Get freaking help. Get a free app, find a playlist you like, create a playlist of music that just makes your mind go quiet. Get help with this. Here's a couple other things you can do. You can put an alarm in your phone that goes off randomly. Let's just pick a time. How about 2:13? 2:13 p.m. every single day, write a little alarm that just says, take a breath. Do nothing for 1 minute. That's it. Now, why would you want to do that? Why do you want to do this? I'll tell you why. And it's common sense. If you're always on and your thoughts are always racing, is that a good thing for you? Of course not. Like, think about your computer or your phone. You know how when it overheats or it's been on for 3 or 4 days in a row because you haven't turned it off, and then all of a sudden it starts rainbow wheeling or glitching or it's slower? What do? You unplug the computer or you turn off the phone. The art of doing nothing is so important because it's an intentional moment to unplug from life. It's an intentional moment where you restore your energy, where you interrupt the chaos, where you bring your power back inside, where you regroup. And you need that. And so do I. Stress levels are so high because you're always on. You're always running from one thing to the next. You're like your phone. Like it occurred to me the other day because my phone was getting glitchy. And I thought to myself, when's the last time I turned this thing off? I bet this phone has been on for like 3 weeks in a row. Just going. It needs a moment to do nothing. It needs a moment to reset. And so the reason why the one thing I want you and I to do this week is nothing is because we need it. And for those of us like you and me who have a lot going on and you got other people you got to take care of and you got a lot on your plate and you got demands at work and you can't just take a week off and do nothing. You can't go to an ashram. You can't go to a yoga retreat. Wouldn't that be nice? That would be just freaking fantastic. I would love to go to one of those retreats, where you pay a ridiculous amount of money and they take your phone away and then you're forced to hike or just lay around. That would be amazing. I would love to go do something silent, but that's not my life right now. But I can figure out how to insert the art of doing nothing every day for a minute. And if you're lucky enough, again, to be off work this week, you can take this as the theme of the week. How do you do less? How do you find moments of nothing? How do you sit with the discomfort of not doing your to-do list, not racing to the grocery store, not trying to get something else done? What if you just let yourself be for a minute? that is exactly what you need. It's exactly what I need. And this will be interesting because the truth is, I have no freaking clue how to do this. I'm just as novice at this as you are. I'm going to set the reminder, 2:13. Stop. Take a breath. Do nothing for a minute. And I'm also going to have a song ready because songs really help me. In fact, I found a really good one. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. I heard this song the other day. Let me see if I can find it because, this was so good. I put this in my family group chat. You know it's a good song when it's in your family group chat because it's going to be enjoyed by all the generations. Although I'll admit that nobody actually wrote back and said that's a great song. But I think it's a great song. Let me find this thing for you. Stand by, please. Did I text this on my phone? Oh, there it is. Hold on. No, it's not. Oh, God. Darn it. Where is it? Hold on. Stand by. Oh, I know where it is. Okay, hold on. But anywho, okay, so let me play the song for you. So I found this song, and I this is a good technique for me. This song is very old. It's called Genesis, and it's one of those trippy songs, like you might expect in a yoga class. Here we go. There's a theme here. I like trippy music. That sort of has a George Winston meets yoga, meets psychedelic medication sort of vibe to it, I think. And when I hear music like that, I just pay attention to the music and I notice my thoughts melt away. And so for me, my little thing that I'm going to do, 2:13, goes off. Do nothing. For a minute, take a breath, and I'm going to put that song on because that will focus my mind on something other than all the crap that's normally spinning. That's what I'm going to do. I know what you're probably thinking right now because I get this question a lot. Mel, what's the difference between being lazy, being procrastinator, having excuses, and doing nothing? So let me attack those one by one. Being lazy is fine. Like if you know you're lazy, more power to you. That's great. You know what's great about lazy people is they don't make themselves wrong. You know you're an overachiever if you beat yourself up when you're not doing everything that you need to be doing. People who are truly lazy do not give a damn about the fact that they're not doing anything. You know people like this. They're not motivated. They don't care. They're not looking to change the world. They don't care. And here's the thing that I feel about human beings. If it works for you, do it because it's your life. Nobody said that you have to go change the world. If you enjoy your life and you consider yourself to be a lazy person, you're winning at life because you enjoy it. And so we could all learn something from lazy people because people that are truly lazy have no problem being lazy. So that's number one. Number two, procrastination. Procrastination is a habit that is triggered by stress. Let's say that again. Procrastination is a habit of avoiding what you need to do because you're stressed out. And there's a lot of research around this. So I'll explain it very, very quickly and we'll do a much bigger episode around it. But when you are procrastinating, it's typically because you need to do something that requires brain power. And when you're stressed out because mom is sick or you got to pick up the kids at school or you have a big assignment at work, when you're stressed, the idea of having to tap into more brain power and more energy to focus on something else, that's the last thing your brain wants to do. And so your brain is going to want to avoid working on that project or avoid cleaning out the back bedroom or avoid having the hard conversation or avoid the research paper. Why? because it's going to require you to focus and tap into brain power. And you're already so stressed because of everything else that avoiding those things when you're stressed becomes a habit. That's all that procrastination is. And there's a simple way to break the habit of procrastinating. Research shows that if you simply force yourself to start the project, like literally walk into the back bedroom that needs cleaning and start cleaning. If you simply force yourself to start, and obviously the 5-second rule, counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, best place to start. 80% of the time, you'll keep going. So procrastination is a habit, okay, that's triggered by stress. The only solution is just start. The third piece that you said was excuses. So excuses is when you are actively campaigning to not do something. That's what an excuse is. It's when you are convincing yourself not to do something, okay? Do you notice that all three things that I just explained, being lazy, procrastinating, and excuses, those are things that are very busy. When I'm asking you to do nothing, I'm asking you to be hyper intentional about unplugging for a second. Hyper intentional about removing the stress, removing all of the pressure that you feel. I'm asking you to do something really positive for your mental health, for your stamina, for your energy, for your resilience, for your presence. That's what doing nothing is. It's not being lazy. It's not procrastinating. It's not an excuse. It's literally just allowing yourself to take a break for a second because you deserve that. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.